share exciting vegan recipes with his 344,000 Instagram followers. I know loads of you are here. And his 699,000 subscribers on YouTube. Woohoo! And I'm sure loads of you have got his books, Vegan 100 and Vegan Christmas. So let's start clapping our hands, let's start cheering and making some noise for the Avant-Garde vegan Gaz Oakley!
Wow. Thank you so much. Oh my God, I've never seen so many people look at me all at once. It's amazing to be here. Thank you so much. This is a massive stage. I feel like I need to move around a little bit. Yes, thank you for that introduction. If you don't know me, I'm a chef from Cardiff in Wales. Who's from Cardiff? Anyone? Yes. I live in London now. I'm very proud to be Welsh though, and I never thought in a million years that I would be on a stage like this talking for so many people. So I'm very blessed and I'm very appreciative to be here. So thank you for having me. Thank you. My nerves are going to calm down soon because I just had a beer, so give me 5 minutes, I'll be a bit more relaxed. And I think this is the first time at Vegan Camp Out. So many different people from different backgrounds, lovely people that I've met so far. I think that sort of stereotype of a vegan with long hair and beard and straw sandals is now gone. I think we're a lot cooler than that these days, although I'm keeping on to the beard and my sandals are at home. But apart from that, we're a cool bunch, I think. There's some lovely young people here as well, which is great. So I'm going to tell you about my cooking journey, how I got into veganism. I'm hoping that I'm going to inspire you guys. I think that Alex, who was on before me, was such an incredible, touching speech, so I have some big shoes to follow here. But I want to give a big thank you to him, Alex, if you give her a little clap. So I began cooking at the age of about 8 years old with my dad at home. As soon as I could stand above the kitchen counter, I was cooking with him. He always used to tell me that I was too slow and I would make too much of a mess, so it was probably a bit of a hindrance, but what it taught me was to be faster, be efficient and be tidy in the kitchen. So I just thought it was what every little kid did at home with their parents, and it was a great way for me to express my creativity. I loved art, and plating up food was my form of art at home, which was amazing. And when my sort of dreams of playing professional rugby went out the window when I stopped growing in school and everyone became absolutely massive, I realised I couldn't play for Wales anymore, so I took the cooking more seriously and I decided to take cooking schools in school. And I was only one of 6 in the class, and it was the only class, apart from PE, that I was excelling in. Usually I was the one that was looking outside the window, not just doing doodles in my books and stuff, but in cooking I was doing some amazing things. I was like 13 years old making fresh pasta from scratch in catering classes, and the people who were in the class with me were struggling to make a tomato sauce. And the teacher one time said to me, "Let me try that pasta, Gaz." She said, "Oh, it's a bit undercooked." I said, "No, miss, this is al dente." So I think when you're 13 years old telling your teacher that, I think I had to take cooking more seriously. So all I wanted to do was be the best chef possible. I was really inspired by celebrity chefs such as Gordon Ramsay, Marco Pierre White, and I wanted to be the youngest chef with a Michelin star. And obviously I wasn't vegan then. So I found myself in the first time in a professional kitchen when I was just 15 years old. I loved it so much that they gave me a part-time job. So after school, I was going straight to the restaurant and working through the night in the kitchen, and I was soaking up all this amazing knowledge from these chefs that had been cooking for years and years and years. It was amazing to experience that and learn so much. I also learned how to swear in the first week, which my mum was really disappointed at, but it's just one of those chefy things. And then when I was 16 and could leave school, I decided to go full-time. So this was the thing that I wanted to do. I wanted to be the best chef possible and learn as much as I could. I thought if I went to sixth form and was in education for 2 more years, I would be behind and I wouldn't be the best chef possible. So I was grafting, I was learning so much, I was working from 8:30 to 11:30 at night, just at such a young age, but the experience that I gained and the knowledge that I got was amazing just in just a few short years. I moved around, and when I was 17, in the first restaurant I worked at, it was called the New House Country Hotel in Cardiff. At 17 I was running the kitchen often, so I had a lot of, I was thrown right in the deep end and I was given a lot of responsibility, which was great. But when I was running the kitchen, I decided I had to get that next step. So I don't know where I got it from, but at 17 years old, I printed off my CV, and at the time, obviously there's no Instagram or anything like that. I printed off pictures of my food, which they must have looked terrible looking back or thinking back. I just knocked on a restaurant's door. It was a restaurant called and it was renowned in Cardiff. A really amazing chef there, serving some incredible food, and they were trying to get a Michelin star. So I knocked on the door one lunchtime service and asked for the head chef, and luckily he came out to see me. And I said, look, I want to work for you. I'll work for you for free. Just let me learn from you. And obviously he wouldn't turn down free work, so he said, yeah, come on board. It wasn't the pictures of my dishes that I showed him, it was obviously the free work, I think. But it was great. So I worked at Le Gaulois. This is where I learned most of my skills. It was a really fine dining French cuisine. Incredible food. And I was given some like lenience, so I was able to create my own dishes for a change. And I remember coming up with this pea soup, which is actually in my first cookbook, Vegan 100. I love this pea soup so much. I know it doesn't sound like that much, but pea soup, honestly, it's beautiful. It was on the menu one summer, and I would get home from work and go on TripAdvisor and see if anyone said anything about my pea soup, and if they did, I would get so excited. And I sort of get that same feeling now when people comment on my YouTube videos and make my recipes. Seeing their satisfaction over my food is amazing. Isn't that cute? Yeah, it was great. I think people get into cooking because people get into cooking because they love seeing people's reactions when they serve them the food and tasting it. And when you're in the kitchens, once you've served that food out, obviously there's lots of open kitchens, but most of the time you're hidden. So when you give the waiters your food and they take them out and then they come back, the plates are cleared, I would ask the waiters, I'd say, oh, what do they think of my pea soup? What do they think of that? And the waiter would say, yeah, they enjoyed it. I said, no, tell me more, I want to know more. They wouldn't tell me. So you lose that kind of, that satisfaction a little bit. So that's why I was going on TripAdvisor late at night. But now it's all changed. You can go on social media and get instant reviews. After 5 years of working in professional kitchens and having moved around and getting all this experience, it was taking its toll on me. And I was coming back from work at midnight after being in the kitchen 14 hours at quite a young age, having not slept properly, having not eaten, having worked so hard and so much pressure on me. You know, I go home to my parents and they were looking at a ghost almost. I was so frail, I was so tired and exhausted constantly. And I thought I needed a break. The chefing industry is so tough, and I take my hat off to anyone that does it. So I remember this one time I had this potato fondant. It was one of the side dishes that I would have to prepare for a particular dish, and the check came on for that dish, and when I hear the check come on, I would put that fondant in the oven. So I did it. The chef called for it like 15 minutes later, and I was thinking, all right, yes, come in now, chef. Looked in the oven and it was black. It completely burned. The oven was too hot for some reason. And the amount of pressure you're under, you may think that's just a potato fondant, let's do another one, but they're quite long to prepare, so I couldn't do it. But the amount of pressure I was under at such a young age, I wanted the earth just to swallow me up. The stare that the chef gave to me, I still have nightmares over it now, honestly. It was scary. So when you're under that pressure and you're working in that intense environment at a young age, it was tough. So I had to have a little time out. I was lucky enough to be given a job on a building yard, loading lorries with just building equipment. I just thought to myself, I'll take a couple of months out, recuperate, get my energy back, and I'll go back into cooking. But unfortunately, that job, just loading lorries, was half the hours and double the money. So at a young age, that was great. And I got my social life back. I was able to go on nights out and meet girls and stuff, which I wasn't able to do for so long, having been in the kitchens 80 hours a week with a bunch of old men. So it was nice to have that social life back. But those couple of months turned into a couple of years, and I worked my way up in this company and for quite a while, cooking, and the sort of idea of being the best chef possible and having my own restaurant was just put on the back burner a little bit. And I was excelling in this job. I was sort of a traveling salesman, selling this building materials. I didn't have any creativity, and I wasn't really enjoying life as much. So as much as it was a great job, it wasn't fulfilling my life. So I put these various business plans together about starting a restaurant and what I would do, etc. And with the spare time I also had, I got into weight training. So I was going to the gym every day, and I wanted to play rugby again, and being slim, I needed to put on that weight because some of these boys in Wales playing rugby, they're absolute giants, so I knew that I had to put on a bit of weight. So I was eating this like 5,000 calorie, high protein, animal protein obviously, meals, constantly eating, and I put on all this weight and thought I looked great. Looking back at those pictures, I looked absolutely terrible, trust me. My face was like the size of a balloon. But anyway, I achieved that goal of putting on weight. I didn't actually quite make the rugby team. I didn't want to do it in the end, but having eaten all that animal protein, my stomach started feeling bad. I wasn't energetic. Just didn't feel good in myself. I was thinking, look, I'm going to the gym every night, I'm exercising all this time, why aren't I feeling good? So I started looking at my diet, I started seeing things on social media. One of my favourite rappers, JME, I was following on Twitter at the time, and he was posting about veganism quite often, and it just planted a seed in my head. And he was on the radio one day talking to another vegan, Sarah Jane Crawford, about veganism. And I was driving around in my company car, probably munching on a sausage roll or something, trying to get a few extra calories, which is just ridiculous thinking back. And he was talking about one video that he watched that made him go vegan overnight. And later, after, he posted the link to this video, and I thought, right, I've got to give this a watch. This diet isn't good for me. I've been to the doctor. You know, he can't tell me what it is. He's just saying it's obviously, look at the diet, which is true, it's 5,000 calories, loads of animal protein. So I watched this video, and it was a speech by Gary Yourofsky. It's about an hour. Shout out to Gary Yourofsky. If anyone's got any contacts with him, please tell him I want to cook for him, to thank him for what he's done for me. I watched that video with just an open mind, obviously thinking that veganism could be the answer to these health problems that I was sort of facing. But what he started talking about when it comes to animal cruelty and the way animals are treated, it just shocked me completely. And I realized that this meat that I was buying from the supermarkets, this meat that I was cooking in the kitchens, I used to butcher everything, you know, and it's not a product. And honestly, it shocked me, and I realized from that moment on that veganism was my lifestyle for the rest of my life, just after watching that one video, and that was 4 years ago in October. So, yeah. I have some notes, but I don't know where I am. Anyway, so I rang my mum up and I said, bear in mind, obviously I'd just been weight training for 2 years, eating all this meat and everything. I said, Mum, she was on holiday, I'm going vegan. And she said, Gal, what the hell is that? What are you doing? She didn't know what I was doing next, so she said, what on earth are you going to eat? And that was the first thing I thought, actually, what am I going to eat? So I went to Sainsbury's and I looked around, I just picked up everything I could find with a little vegan stamp on it, and just loads of fruits and vegetables that I probably was sort of lacking in so much, having eaten all this meal prep and this high calorie diet. And that first meal that I made was just some homemade falafel and salad and some sweet potato. Was the most vibrant, tasty, amazing meal that I had in the whole 2 years of, you know, this weight training meal plan. So I knew that I wasn't going to miss out on any food. So I instantly started experimenting in the kitchen, and all those skills that I had learned in the professional kitchens were coming into play. And And I was like, oh, I don't need meat, but I can use a bit of this, a bit of miso paste to bring out that really meaty flavour for this. And I was taking these meals to work, and where I'd usually go into work, like having just gone vegan, because I guess most of you guys are here are vegan. The first time you go vegan, all you want to do is tell people to go vegan. And you're like, I was trying to say the things that Gary Roski said, but I'm not, as you can probably tell, I'm not the best speaker. So I was trying to do it, but I was stumbling over my words. I was getting a bit agitated. I was trying to be a bit, not argumentative, but because I'm not the best speaker, I was trying to just force it down them. They just put this brick wall up and not take any of it on board. But what I saw was when I was taking in these lovely meals, they were smelling it and being, oh, it doesn't look and smell that too bad. Give me a little try of that. And I'd be like, okay, you can have a little bit. I let them taste it, and they were sort of turning on to the idea of veganism then. So I knew then that this was my thing. I needed to use those professional cooking skills and make the best vegan food possible and encourage people to go vegan that way, because I'm not very good with the talking. Yeah. Thank you. So I did a little experiment, and I invited 4 of my friends over who are the biggest meat eaters around. I said, come over to my house, I'm going to cook you some food. I made them the tastiest vegan burgers that I'd made up until then, and they were blown away. You know, I didn't mention once about animal cruelty, I didn't mention anything about environment or health. I just gave them the food, and they were turned on to the idea of veganism, and a couple of them out of the 4 went vegan. So thank you. And I realised then the power of food and how my cooking skills were actually needed in the vegan community. Having looked on Instagram, and to be honest, there's nothing wrong with it, but at the time, 4 years ago, all I was seeing was smoothie bowls and things like that. And I wanted to show you that you can get all this tasty food that not only looks like a traditional meal, but also tastes like it, and you get the textures too. I was experimenting with wheat gluten and making the most amazing meat replacements. And my friends were saying, look, you've got to start posting this food on Instagram. And I was thinking, I don't want any of the attention, I don't want to do it. But after a while of really enjoying cooking again and experimenting and making all this tasty food, I started to skive off my work, and I started just making this food and taking pictures of it. And one day I decided to start an Instagram page and start posting my food. So I was thinking, what should I call my Instagram? And I think my initials are G-O, let's do G-O vegan, but that had been taken, unfortunately. So then I did G-O_vegan, but that had been taken as well. So I'm not the most imaginative person in the world. So I did G-O__vegan. That was available, so I took that. I posted my first picture, and I put some hashtags on it, and people started liking it and asking for the recipe. So I started doing it more often. It was really fun doing like the food photography and plating things up beautifully and seeing the reactions. It was almost like going back and looking at TripAdvisor. So it really took off, and I think after a month or so I had 2,000 Instagram followers, and I was over the moon. So I took it more seriously. I started taking less care in my 9 to 5 and really putting it into the cooking and learning and experimenting. And before I knew it, I had 7,000 Instagram followers, thought I'd made it, and quit my job. So I have to say I'm very lucky to have such an amazing, such amazing parents, most supportive people in my life, and I wouldn't have been able to quit my job and just live at home rent-free and just focus all my attention on the vegan movement and what I did on social media if it wasn't for them. So big shout out to my parents. If they knew I was talking in front of you now, they'd be over the moon. Thank you. And actually, my parents went vegan shortly after I did, so that's how supportive they are. I mean, they do have me cooking for them most of the time. And my dad's a great cook. They had no excuse. So where was I? So I quit my job, but instantly, I have to say this to you guys, if you have a passion in anything, if you are able to take a step back to that sort of job or commitment that you don't necessarily enjoy that much, and you want to do something that really fulfills you and excites you, go for it. I would never in a million years think I'd be doing what I'm doing now, and I was lucky enough, and I'm so happy that I took that step and just believed in my dream. So anyone can do it. Any skills that you have, follow it. We're only here once, so do it. But I instantly went to a vegan festival the first weekend after quitting my job. I asked the organizer, I said, look, I've just left my job, I'm a chef, I want to have a little stall here. The weekend later, I was at a stall in Cardiff at a vegan festival, and I was selling vegan donuts and cakes. And they flew out, and they were amazing donuts, and I was meeting all these amazing vegan people, and they were following me on social media, and all this time that I had spare now, I put into the social media, and it started growing and growing and growing. I was thinking, what on earth is going on? My life is about to change. But realizing that I could share my activism through food in a way that isn't going to make people put up that brick wall, and people are just open to it, and making the food that looks very traditional was a way that I could, infiltrate into a non-vegan scene and get them interested in food. It got to a point when I was at about 25,000 followers on Instagram where I realized that this GO__vegan was getting on my nerves a little bit. So I tried coming up with a name, and I remember going, when I was in Le Gaulois, the restaurant, the French restaurant where I learned so much, I remember being on the hot plate, plating up. Being a young chef, I loved plating up with all this flair. And I remember the head chef coming over and whispering in my ear, he said, "Gaz, that's avant-garde, that's avant-garde." And he was taking the mick out of me completely. But when I was coming up with a name, I was like, oh, let's see if anyone's got avant-garde vegan. Because, I was doing some food that hasn't been seen on Instagram and things like that before. It wasn't just smoothie, I wasn't doing smoothie bowls, I was doing these lovely meat replacements and beautiful, colourful food that I was eating, just lovely stuff. So I thought, let's go with avant-garde vegan. It hadn't been taken, and luckily it's sort of stuck now. So yeah, it's good. Thank you. So I realised then that my activism had to go to the next step. So let me just go backtrack a little bit. I was doing various pop-ups in restaurants, and if you've ever been to Anna Loca in Cardiff, it's a lovely vegan restaurant. I'd done a lovely pop-up there, and people like that were supporting me so much. So I owe a lot to people like Adam at Anna Loca and loads of the restaurants there. But anyway, I needed to really show people how to make the food. I think growing up watching cooking programs with my dad all the time, I realised that it's so enjoyable just watching food being made. Even if you don't cook the recipes, it's fun, it's nice watching the food. So I thought, let me try and make a vegan cooking show that's suitable for TV, but on YouTube, because obviously I'm not going to just walk up to the BBC and say, give me a vegan show. I thought, let me get it on YouTube. And I remember just posting a tweet asking if there's any local film crews that can help me film some recipe videos, and someone replied. I remember not having enough money at all to book a studio. My parents' kitchen wasn't suitable to film at home. And I just looked on Airbnb. I found a nice kitchen somewhere in Wales, and it was just had a lovely kitchen. I didn't tell them. I turned up about 2 when I had to check in, and then my film crew turned up at 4 with all this equipment. Oh God. Yeah, so I did my first season of recipe video in December 2017, I think. I remember the first video. It was all I was doing was hummus and avocado rose on toast. I did an avocado rose on Instagram. It did so well. I thought, let me show you people how to make that. So I stood in front of the camera, and I just froze. I couldn't move. I didn't smile. It was the most daunting thing I've ever done after this. But I made it through, and after, I don't think we did 6 recipe videos that weekend. And after the 6th one, I started loosening up, and I realized that all I'm doing is cooking, and that's all I know, and that's all I'm really good at. So if I tell people how to cook, I'm good. So looking back at those videos, I've actually taken them down from YouTube. I couldn't look at them. But after doing that sixth video, I knew that I could do it, and I just committed all my sort of energy to YouTube, and the reaction to my recipes was amazing. And seeing people recreate my recipes is such an amazing feeling, and knowing that I'm able to help people cut down on meat and go vegan is amazing. We've got some amazing activists like Gaz Oakley, Earth in Ed, James Aspie, and everyone else. Like, these people, you know, help make so many people vegan, and then I'm hoping that I'm there to help them with the recipes after. Thank you. I'm going to fast forward a little bit now, but I'm now 11 seasons into my YouTube, 700,000 subscribers around the world. It's unbelievable. I cannot believe it. And just walking around here today and people recognizing me it's a bit nerve-wracking, but it's amazing, and people are so friendly and nice. And in that time period, I've done 2 cookbooks, which was a dream of mine growing up. My first book, Vegan Christmas, came out in January 2018. Vegan 100 came out in January 2018, and it was just a collection of all my most proudest recipes that I'd developed over the time, from going vegan up until the book came out. And that's done really well. It's translated into 6 different languages. And then I did Vegan Christmas, because vegans at Christmas times is quite difficult, isn't it? So like, whether you're that awkward vegan, go into a non-vegan household and they're like, what am I going to cook for this vegan coming over? There's my book for you. And if you're just a bunch of awkward vegans, a family together, you don't want that nut roast. Hopefully my Christmas book will help you. What else have I done? So yeah, I have so many interests, and I'm very lucky to do what I do. You know, I think the vegan community is amazing. It's growing so fast, and I'm so lucky to be involved in it. I've done a big collaboration with a restaurant that I was a fan of growing up all my life, and the dish features a vegan egg that I came up with on my YouTube. Thank you. It was supposed to go to just 1 restaurant, or 2 restaurants, London and Cardiff, my hometown, but it did so well thanks to the amazing vegan community that is now in over 150 restaurants worldwide. So, you know, we're at a point now where 4 years ago, when I was in my old job, and I'd stop at a service station and couldn't get a vegan, even a vegan sandwich, and now a high street restaurant like Wagamama is serving a dish in collaboration with a vegan chef, and it's got a vegan egg on it, and seitan is not only amazing for vegans, but it's amazing for non-vegans as well. We're at a point now where this movement is so strong, and it's thanks to everyone here and all the vegans around the world. Thank you. You're very kind. So it's my big dream to open a restaurant, and you know, you have to be in the right place mentally, financially, to open a restaurant. Having worked in restaurants, I know how tough it is, and I said on my YouTube channel, when I get to 1 million subscribers, so if you're not subscribed, you know what to do, that I will open my own restaurant. So that's the dream. I don't know where it's going to be. I'm taking notes from wherever I go around the world, and whoever sort of treats me the best, I'll open it. I'm joking. I want to feed as many people as I can. I think there's a real need for the type of restaurant I want to open. I think that often we can, particularly in London, there's some amazing restaurants, but often it's quite fast foody, and you can't, for example, take a family there for a special occasion or a date there and things like that. I want to bring back that classical dining to veganism. I want people to come to my restaurant, spend a couple of hours, have a glass of wine, have some fancy food. So that's the plan. That's the plan, and yeah, so please subscribe. My dad actually, obviously he cooks vegan all the time, and he cooked some vegan food for some customers of his at their offices. And he's so used to watching my videos, after finishing cooking for them, he said to them, oh, can you all make sure you subscribe to my YouTube channel, all this stuff. I said, Dad, you don't even have a YouTube channel, why you don't need to say it when you finish cooking. Yeah. But it's amazing to be here, thank you so much. I have a lot more interests other than being cooking. I know now that, you know, I've built this audience, and I can help inspire them in more ways than one, and things like fashion, trainers, fitness, are all things that I really want to get into. So stay tuned for some very exciting news on the sort of fashion-y front, the trainer front, all this type of thing. I think I'm gonna probably annoy my publisher a little bit, but I'm gonna share some exclusive. And they're not the most convenient recipes for the everyday person. There's a few in there, but you know, if you're a really keen home cook, you will love those books. But veganism needs to be for everyone. It needs to be as accessible as possible. So recently on my YouTube channel, I've been posting what I call hashtag Gaz's 15-minute meals. I've only just been able to say that in full, so yeah, I'm doing well. And the reaction to those 15-minute meals has been so good that I've decided to put together a cookbook full of, let me just say, the most amazing food that happens to be either made in just 15 minutes, simple recipes, one-pot meals, nice bakes, all these really delicious food that isn't going to take you 2 hours in the kitchen, and hopefully it's going to target an audience outside of the vegan community, and it gets more people eating less meat. So we need to do that, and that's the next book. Thank you. Thank you. I haven't got a name for it yet, but stay tuned. I've probably had so much more to say, but I can't quite remember. But I'm going to just open it up to questions now, because we've got 15 minutes. And what I'm going to say is, if you're too shy to ask a question, hopefully this helps. I'm about to launch these recycled, sustainable tote bags with my name on it. If you want one, you can get them soon off our website. But the person that asked me the best question can win this today. So there you go. So I'm going to open it up for questions now.
Okay, I've seen a hand. I'm just going to go because I saw your hand first, so I'm going to make my way. Wait, hold on, let's see. I'm just going to go straight back there. Let's go this way. It's a crystal maze. Oh. Oh. Okay. Make it a good one. There's a prize up for grabs.
Hi.
Hello.
Is this where we can ask you to marry us? I'm kidding. Well, I mean, just joking, but oh well. How do you feel about like using industrialized products? Because you don't, I mean, you do use some stuff, but like, how do you feel about using, because there are chefs like preparing those, you know, like, I don't know many of the UK brands now to name them, but like in the US they have like tofurkey and Daya cheese and stuff like that. Like, do you use a lot of those, or do you like against using those, and do you like to like just make your own stuff and create that? Like, what's your view on that?
Yeah. Well, yeah, you just asked me one of the most asked questions ever. Will I marry you? You vegan girls are thirsty. But in terms of sort of those meat replacements that you can buy from the supermarkets, the vegan cheeses, I'm all for that. You know, making your own seitan in your kitchen at home is so rewarding and fun. You can be really creative with it, but it takes a long time. The way we're going to get more people eating less meat is by these amazing vegan alternatives that you can just pick off the supermarket shelves. So I'm all for these meat replacements. And do I use them myself? Of course. If I've just got back from traveling and I don't have any in the fridge, I'll definitely get some meat replacements or whatever. They're great. It makes everything so much more accessible. And part of the reason many people don't go vegan is because they think, oh, God, it's going to be so hard work not being able to get my chicken breast. But now you can get a vegan alternative in the supermarkets. It's amazing. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I mean, someone's already beat me to the proposal, but is there any more high street restaurant chains you'd want to work with?
Good question. I think the next thing I want to do now, when people eat my food, I want it to be in my own restaurant. So, being such a perfectionist, it was very nerve-wracking knowing that my food that I put my name to and I've created in collaboration with Wagamama is going to be recreated over 150 restaurants. You know, that was nerve-wracking, and making sure everyone is to the standard that I did is nerve-wracking. So being being such a control freak and perfectionist, I think the next time my food goes out there will either be a pop-up that I've done myself or my own restaurant. But I do work with the Burger Co in London. I'm executive chef there, so if you ever want to taste some of my creations, you can go there. Thank you. You guys don't have to clap, you're too kind. You don't have to clap after one. Where are we going now?
Right in the middle.
Oh, there.
Hiya, thanks for so much of your amazing food on YouTube.
Thank you.
I've always loved cooking since I was a young age, and I've worked in kitchens myself, and I'd really love to get into activism through cooking. Have you got any good tips?
Yeah, good question. Now, I touched on it before, but I think social media nowadays is so powerful. And without it, I wouldn't be able to reach the people that I am able to reach through my food. So my tips to you are just put your food out there. Or if you're an amazing artist, put your art out there, put your music out there, put it out there. It's free to use. Don't worry about what your friends are going to say, because it's only the closest friends are really going to be the ones that are going to sort of judge you. And if you have really nice, supportive friends, they're going to be so supportive of you. So just put your stuff out there. Don't worry what anyone's going to say. Believe in yourself and keep trying to improve and keep soaking up as much knowledge as you can to create the best content possible. And one thing I will say is that if you can't do anything yourself to the highest level possible, and I haven't touched on this enough, I'm so lucky that I have one of the best teams ever around me, including my friend Tom, who's videoing today, an amazing photographer. You know, I can't do this on my own. And I realise that I can't do everything as much as I'd like to. So if you've got a friend that's an amazing photographer, call he or she in to help you take pictures of the food. That way then you're going to have the best product possible. So don't be afraid to ask people for help and build a lovely team around you. Thank you.
Hi guys, I'm a massive fan of this show and I drive my husband up the wall watching it all the time.
Sorry.
He likes you too. I just wanted to ask that in the same way that I felt that we needed your cooking show to normalise cooking and recipes, and I'm sure a lot of people here did, is there anything in the vegan movement that you feel needs normalising to sort of encourage others really?
Straw sandals. I'm joking. Good question. I think fashion is one thing, like being someone who really loves clothing, like walking into a trainer store, I know that we all should be conscious about buying less, and I try to do that as much as I can, but often I have friends personally that won't go vegan because they know they won't be able to get the latest trainers that they love. And that's really important, believe it or not, to a lot of people. So I think the fashion industry, trainers and things like that, I've just done a video with a vegan sneakerhead in New York who is really putting it out there to try and get people like Nike and other trainer brands to put ingredients on the boxes. How helpful would that be? You know, so that is something that should really be addressed, and I think it will do. And I'm working my butt off to try and bring out my own trainer for you guys and for whoever else wants to wear it with an amazing trainer maker soon, so stay tuned for that.
Guys, I'm here now with Eloise.
Hello, Eloise.
Do you have any meals for kids?
Good question. I do have a vegan for kids recipe video. Yeah, I make 3 lovely meals that aren't gonna make parents stress out in the kitchen, and a great way of hiding vegetables in meals. I think that vegans, and this is something that you'll see on my YouTube soon, it's so important that we eat the rainbow. It's so important that we eat lots of leafy greens, good quality beans, pulses, and carbs and things like that. Can I just give you one tip that I learned recently? If you think of your plate as a chart, half of that plate needs to be leafy greens, vegetables, or fruits, okay? The quarter of it needs to be good quality carbohydrates such as wild rice, quinoa, etc. And then the final quarter needs to be your vegan protein, whether that's tempeh, seitan, tofu, beans, pulses, lentils, all of this stuff. This is how I try and think of my meals when I'm cooking at home. So think of your plate as a chart and eat the rainbow. But in terms of meals for kids, yes, I'll do some more of those on my YouTube channel. And also I want to get into schools as soon as I can to teach kids about cooking and also to teach kids about veganism, because we need that. Thank
You ready?
Okay, I have a question.
Good.
Please say that's why I got the mic. So, I've encouraged my family to go vegetarian. I'm struggling with veganism. How do I get my family to go vegan? What's the biggest cheese and the best recipe that I can give within 15 minutes?
Oh my gosh.
No stress, yeah?
Okay, my mozzarella, that can be easily made in 15 minutes, but you can turn that into so many different things. You can make a lovely cheesy sauce with it. But in terms of making your your family vegan, cook for them as much as you can. That's what I would say, because I'm a chef. Make them the nicest food possible, and if you can sneak a little Gary Orofsky speech whilst they're eating the food, maybe they will. It will improve the chances. But just keep cooking for them. It works for my family, and hopefully it will work for yours.
Great answer. Right, I'm coming down here because you must have arm ache. Sorry. Just flattened a few feet. Sorry about that. Here we go.
Hi Gaz, it's so hard to get my question through all the female fans of yours. So my question is, cuisine of which country inspires your cooking the most?
It's such a hard question. I love food so much. God, do you know what? I love a bit of spice. Anything that's a bit spicy, whether it's Indian, Caribbean. I love Japanese food. Oh my God, you should see my spice rack is full, and I do, when I cook for some of my family and friends, I do blow their heads off sometimes with the amount of spice and chili that I put in. But anything with a bit of spice, I can't answer it really, to be honest with you, but I just love spicy food. But don't worry, when I open my restaurant, it's not all going to be really spicy.
Okay, next question.
Hi, what is your favourite view on TripAdvisor?
Oh my God. Review on TripAdvisor?
Yeah,
from when I was a chef?
Yeah.
My favourite view on TripAdvisor when I was a chef? Oh, I can't quite remember, but whenever I saw pea soup, I was over the moon.
Do you have a question?
Hey guys.
Hello.
What is the dish that you're most proud of that you've made?
Oh, God. Do you know, like, choosing my favourite recipe from my cookbooks is like choosing, well, I don't have kids, but when I have kids, it'd be like choosing between kids, I guess, which one I like the most. But I posted actually yesterday a throwback picture of my lasagna, and I get people coming over to me, screaming like this lady at the front, saying to me, your lasagna is the best lasagna I've ever eaten. So, you know, that lasagna non-vegans love so much. When I recreated that cheesy sauce without nuts, for example, oh my God, the excitement that I got, and seeing the excitement on YouTube just to a lasagna was mind-blowing. So yeah, probably lasagna.
Okay, so me. Hi guys, I've got two quick ones.
Yeah.
Firstly, you say that you inspired your parents to go vegan, your friends to go vegan, but what's your single proudest moment as a vegan, as a chef, full stop? What's your proudest moment? The first thing that comes to mind?
Proudest moment? Yeah, employing my mum.
The woman sat to my right likes to answer a lot. It's me, Mum. And secondly, for my friends here, what's your recommended, do you cook for single girls? Is what they'd like to know. I think that goes for a lot of people in this room as well.
I mean, I've got to test my recipes on someone.
Okay, I'm moving over here. Vegan Camp Out Olympics.
Hi.
Hello.
Hi. So you've been on your vegan journey for 4 years. And thank you very much. I'm sure all of us want to say thank you for helping make our vegan journey like much easier in regards to nice tasty recipes.
Thank you.
But what's been your biggest challenge with regards to a moral dilemma in those 4 years?
just in general, biggest challenge. Definitely just overcoming my fear when I'm filming, overcoming my fear to do cooking demos, to talk in front of people like this. I realise how important it is to inspire people, especially when I do these talks at non-vegan festivals. If I can nail that and show them how good the food is and be confident, that is the best thing I could possibly do. So yeah, overcoming fears and things like that is the hardest thing. But this journey that I've been on has been extremely hard work, but so fulfilling, so exciting. I feel so lucky to do it. I feel like all those hours that I put into professional kitchens at a young age are worth it, because for a long time when I was in that 9-to-5 job, it's like, why did I do all that time in the kitchens? I could have been out with my friends, I could have gone to university, but now it's all paid off for me, and I'm able to live such a fun, exciting life and inspire so many people to eat vegan food. It's great, and it's a cause that means so much to me. And although I don't necessarily use my voice to promote, use my voice as activism as much, I let the food do the talking. Secretly, deep down, I'm knowing that my food is actually an amazing form of activism, so I need to keep doing it. So that's the cause that I work for.
Thank you.
I've got one more question.
One more question.
Hi guys, love your show. What I really like about it is how emotional you get when you cook your food. So I answer this honestly, did you cook something that was so amazing, did you cry?
Oh my God. It must be a natural thing that I get emotional about the food. I don't, until I watch my recipe videos back, I realise, bloody hell, I must like food a lot. I used to go around supermarkets and see a butternut squash and think, oh, I'm going to take that home and do something nice with that. I didn't know I loved food that much, but it's something that's sort of bred into me. I don't think I've ever come as close to crying, but food is an amazing thing, and we need to remember that food isn't just to fill us up. It's to nourish us, but it's also to excite us and make us feel creative and just make all your taste buds go excited. So it's more than just to fill you up. Anyway, guys, thank you so much. Thank you. Can I do a little Instagram video with you? I went to Belgium recently, and I said at the end of the talk, at the end of the cooking demo, can I do a little Instagram video with you all clapping? I said, you won't tell my camera that I've organised this. And I got my phone out and it didn't work, so it's working now, but when I say thank you, let's do some clapping. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching me today. Outside in a sec, so if you want to get a picture or meet me or ask me any questions, I'll meet you then. And the winner was the gentleman by here with the question about, do I cook for single ladies? Thank you so much. You can have a picture quick. Okay guys, everyone put your hands up, let's go.